We got a bidet! Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are talking about the next episode from Kenobi. We're on episode 3, which is really cool. We got 2 the first day, and then like 4 or 5 days later, we got the next episode. We didn't have to wait a full week, so that's exciting. But from here on out, we do have to wait a week in between. They come out on Wednesdays. Some people didn't realize that they were going back to the Wednesday schedule. So if you're watching Kenobi, make sure to check in on Wednesdays. But we're here to talk about the 3rd episode, so we're going to talk about what happened. So there will be spoilers, and then we'll give our thoughts on it. So we're going to go ahead talk about it now. So make sure you're good to go. If you don't want to hear spoilers, give them plenty of time, plenty of notice. But we kick off this episode from the previous episode. Kenobi and Leia are on this like trade ship heading towards another planet. Kenobi mentions that he has no control of it because Leia's kind of really antsy and wants to know when they can get off the ship. And we realize that he has no control over it. So they're just kind of making their way throughout the galaxy, trying to get away from the Inquisitors. And we eventually land on the planet. I don't remember the name of it. It started with an F, I think. Or no, I don't know. It's just a random planet that has Imperial rule. And so they land there and they're trying to meet up with somebody that is supposed to basically take care of them and get them away from the Empire. They start walking down this road, like a very, very lonely type road. Like there's nobody around. Kenobi's trying to tell Leia, this used to be all farm, but once the Empire came in, they kind of ruined that, and we kind of see different little Imperial checkpoints along their way on the walk. But eventually, they see this vehicle come up across them, and I don't know the actor's name, but he's pretty famous. He's from Scrubs. He plays this mole character, and it's interesting that he's mole-like because when they pick him up, him and Leia, to take them to wherever they are thinking that they're going, he actually takes them to an Imperial settlement. And we get a little bit of an interaction at like a checkpoint. So there's like this red grid of lines where like if you were to touch it, you would lose a limb. And we get a little bit of a scuffle at this checkpoint because there were probe droids sent out by the Inquisitors to try to find Kenobi. And once Kenobi realizes, hey, this thing is tracking me, he whips out the blaster and starts shooting everybody up. He is successful. Him and Leia are able to get away. We actually see that the lasers do cut people because one of the stormtroopers falls and gets cut in half.
That actor's name was Zach Braff.
Zach Braff. There we go. The one from Scrubs?
Yes.
Cool.
That's what I recognize him from anyways. I recognize him from Scrubs. I'm sure he's been in many other things.
It's funny that the character was a mole because he was basically a mole that gave up Kenobi and Leia. So that's
that's smart. I didn't even put that together. All right.
So that's kind of their portion of it at this point. On the Empire side of things, we get this really cool. I was very excited to see Vader back in the suit. We see him get put together. I felt like Disney, did a really good job with the cadence of him being put together. And then you get that very awesome breathing sound at the end, making sure that he's good to go. We see Vader's castle on Mustafar, and he's talking to Reva. Reva is blaming Kenobi for killing the Grand Inquisitor. And Vader's basically saying, never mind him. If you get me Kenobi, I will promote you to be the Grand Inquisitor. So Reva kind of has her own mission now to seek out Kenobi and bring him to Vader. She's discussing that with the other Inquisitors, and they're kind of having this power struggle. I believe it's the fifth brother says that he should be the next one in command, but Reva's saying, "Well, I'm, talking to Vader, so I'm going to be the next one in command." So we kind of have that conflict growing a little bit within the Inquisitors. After all that's happened, because that's when they sent out the probe droids, we come back to Kenobi, and they actually do meet up with the person that they're supposed to be meeting on this planet, the one that's supposed to help them out. She actually helps them get away from a squad of stormtroopers. She dresses up as the officer, so she's actually the one that's kind of incognito. And she takes Kenobi and Leia to her secret area, where she's told them that many, many Jedi have come through there. It kind of reminds me of like the Underground Railroad for like historical references. It's a way to transport Jedi incognito to get them to safety. We get a couple of Clone Wars name drop type deals. Quinlan Voss, was that his name? I forget his name.
I don't remember. It's been a while since I watched it. So
yeah, he's pretty popular in the Clone Wars. From what I remember, he's the one that had the love triangle or love interest with Ventress. If you guys remember who that is. So Kenobi notes that he's still around, and by this time it's nightfall, and all the people in the town are scattering. They're getting out of the way, and Kenobi kind of has this feeling of something's happening. We first see the Inquisitors come out, but then we see Vader walking through the streets, and everybody is terrified of Vader. He's trying to seek out where Kenobi is, and it's really interesting because he takes a handful of steps into this little town and he doesn't really do much, but then he starts picking off people randomly. He's like pulling people out of the windows, he's snapping people's necks, doing anything that he can to try to draw out Kenobi. And I want to talk a little bit more about that when we discuss the episode of why he's doing stuff like this. But eventually he gets deep enough into the town where he kind of has this feeling, and we see his head like snap in one direction where he's believing where Kenobi is. Kenobi's on the run, but eventually he gets to the point where Vader intercepts him. Vader ignites his lightsaber. Kenobi doesn't do so right away. He tries to do the runaway effect and keeps on going and going, but eventually Vader catches up again. It's kind of like this Friday the 13th thing where Kenobi keeps running, but Vader catches up to him by walking. They have this little interaction where they have a brief lightsaber battle. Kenobi is definitely rusty in this lightsaber battle. Vader is overpowering him like crazy. And I will say Vader's, I was kind of wondering about his lightsaber skills and how he was hacking at Kenobi. I think they did a really good job with meshing kind of like the battle in A New Hope, but also showing his brute force when he was attacking Luke in episode 5. But we'll carry on with the episode here. So Kenobi gets to a point where he slashes at a piece of machinery that's right there and it has a bunch of smoke that comes out. So then he tries to run away again. But Kenobi gets to this area where he's kind of like a dead end, so to speak. And Vader's there to confront him. This is the final area where they will be doing their battle. And it gets really interesting because Kenobi is so cut off from the Force that Vader just picks him up with the Force. And he's just kind of struggling there in the air. His lightsaber turns off. I don't know if he did that himself or if Vader did that. That's kind of questionable for me. But then we see Vader push over this big container full of flammable objects. We see him put his lightsaber down on the ground, lights it on fire, and then he puts Kenobi into the flames and makes him feel the way he was back on Mustafar.
He straight up dragged him through those flames.
Yeah, he's burning and burning, and I was shocked to see this because I'm pretty sure there was a report that this show was supposed to be around the PG rating, and that seemed a bit beyond it. But it echoes the pretty big line in this show when Kenobi says, "What happened to you?" And Vader says, "I am what you made me." And so Vader then reflects that onto Kenobi and makes him suffer what Anakin had to suffer, or Darth Vader on Mustafar. So that happens. The flames get put out at one point, and then the stormtroopers show up behind Vader. One of the droids that was with the lady that helped save Kenobi back from the post with the stormtroopers comes in and drags him out. And Vader lets him go, which is pretty interesting. I would have thought, Vader would have wanted to go after him, but again, we'll talk about more of that stuff in a little bit. Kenobi gets taken away to get some help, and Vader leaves the premises. So we're kind of left with that. And also the little cliffhanger at the end of this, when Kenobi split off to try to divert Vader away from Leia, Leia was going through these like secret tunnels. That was part of the building where they were hunkered down with this officer lady. And Reva finds these tunnels and goes after Leia. And our cliffhanger is that Leia is now captured with Reva. So that's the episode in a nutshell. What do you guys think?
Well, just to touch on one thing real quick, the officer lady wasn't protecting Leia when she found what she thought was the pilot to take her to safety, because Leia basically said, just point me in the direction to go and you go back and help Kenobi. So the officer lady was trying to help Kenobi get back, and that's why she wasn't there to tell Leia, like, this is not the lady you're supposed to go with. So at the moment, Leia doesn't know she's with the wrong person.
And we kind of saw on camera the person she was supposed to meet was dead on the ground.
Yep. Well, Tony, I'll let you take a stab at it. What you think?
Are you sure?
Go for it.
Okay. All right. So first of all, hi everybody. I'm back. You haven't seen me for the first few episodes, so I'm just going to kind of encompass my whole thoughts on the first half of the series, already halfway through. So before I get into my thoughts, a few disclaimers. First of all, the thoughts I'm going to give are very selfish, personal ones, and they are by no means a dig at the creative team and all of the cast and crew of this show, because I'm sure they worked very, very hard and put in, blood, sweat, and tears and all that stuff. And I just want to say I appreciate their work. And another disclaimer is this is just my thoughts for the first half. Things could change in the second half. I haven't closed my mind off to things changing. But I think the best word that can describe, or I should say phrase, that can describe my thoughts on the first 3 episodes is I am enjoying the show. I am enjoying it, but I am mildly disappointed. And this is why. To me, the Obi-Wan show should be their biggest show. Because if people weren't in the Star Wars show ecosystem to begin with, if somebody has a mild interest in Star Wars, they know who Obi-Wan Kenobi is. So this show, to me, should have been like, oh, there's this Obi-Wan show. Let me check this out. And then maybe they watch it and like it. And it's like, oh, there's this Mandalorian show. Let me watch this. So to me, this show should have been their biggest in every way of that word, like production-wise, writing-wise, all that stuff. It should be the biggest show. And in my opinion, it is not that. I think it should have um, gotten into the cultural zeitgeist and should have gotten people talking, kind of like what Stranger Things is doing right now, which new season is freaking awesome. Let me just say that. Yeah. So like it needed to be that, I think, in my opinion. And it's not. It's a normal, average Star Wars live action show, which is not inherently a bad thing, but the mediocrity is the criticism. In my opinion, it is not even to the level of the Mandalorian, in my opinion. Like the Mandalorian the Mandalorian had the benefit of being new. I get that. But I mean, Mandalorian was nominated for Emmys. It was nominated for like the highest Emmy it could have gotten, which is Best Drama Series. It pioneered new technology and all this stuff. It had all sorts of genre tropes, westerns and samurai films and all that stuff. And at the heart, it's about this Mandalorian and Grogu. But Obi-Wan is not that. It's like, I don't know exactly what this show is really about. I get it. He's trying to protect Leia and all that stuff. But the show could have been so much more so far. And the reason I'm so hyped up with the first 3 episodes is because we're already halfway. And I don't feel like the story is going anywhere. I personally, selfishly, I think Obi-Wan doing like rescuing Leia and all that stuff, personally, I think that's kind of lame. I wanted, again, like I wanted this to be so much bigger. I wanted this to be a deep dive character study into Obi-Wan and what his life is like. This needed to be a full-on post-Western story of the man who left society, who left violence, being forced to come back. And the show needed to be Unforgiven, but Star Wars. That's what it needed to be. And it wasn't. And yes, I am enjoying it overall. Like I said, it's fun, it's pulpy. The girl who plays young Leia is great. She's a joy to watch. And there are moments that I am thoroughly enjoying. I think tonally, this episode 3, was where I think the show needed to be. I think the show needs to be darker. Like especially the 3 was pretty dark, to all things considered. But I think 1 and 2 needed to be a lot darker. I know there were some rewrites on the show because originally it was too dark. To me, give that all to me. Like in episode 1, that dude needed to be in a noose in the middle of the street. I'm sorry. That just needed to be him hanging by the torso. Just doesn't do it for me. Sorry.
You can thank Kathleen Kennedy for that, because she was the one that said it's too dark. We need more hope.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm probably not saying all the things that I've had prepped in my head for the last few days, but I'm enjoying it, but it's here and it needs to be here. And I hope the last 3 episodes pick up, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I would agree. Listening to what you had to say and then kind of reflecting a little bit. I think to Star Wars fans, it's like you said, it's good for us to watch it, but if there was somebody new coming in, it's definitely not going to make them want to watch other shows.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it is an origin story, so if you don't know the character already, right?
What do you mean by that?
Well, at least to the original trilogy, it maybe not from.
I'd say it's bridging a gap.
Yeah, I guess origin isn't exactly the right wording because it's in between 2 different trilogies. But to somebody who's, say, only seen the original trilogy, I guess it would be kind of like an origin, like how'd you get to this point? I guess you'd be pretty confused with Vader and what all these references are if you haven't seen the first 3 episodes. I don't know, it's an interesting way to think about things. I do have to keep reminding myself the reason why, or that the show isn't based around Leia. The show is supposed to be based around Obi-Wan, and the only reason why Leia was taken was to try to get to him. How do you feel about the Inquisitor characters?
I think they're fine. I have no major gripes with them.
So I know that for people who have seen Rebels, right? It's Rebels. There's been some issues with not liking those characters because they were supposed to be portrayed a different way. And for me, who I haven't seen Rebels, it doesn't mean anything to me, but I'm pretty sure you have. So I'm curious what you thought on that.
Oh yeah, I thought they were fine. I didn't have any strong thoughts either way.
I will say, because I don't think I told you yet. We have talked on the previous one about the Grand Inquisitor's death situation. There was an interview that came out where one of the writers said, basically, we are not breaking canon. Canon is important to us. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a foreshadow that he's not dead without saying he's not dead. So we'll probably see him a little later on. I like the Inquisitors. The fifth brother is the one that has been the most surprise liking for me. The reason why is because in Rebels, in my opinion, he looks distinctly a little bit different. I wasn't too sure how the actor was going to do with him, just because we know him from Fast and the Furious, and he's normally a good guy. But honestly, I've loved his Inquisitor. I really like how they really emphasized his voice. Like there's almost like a heavy bass whenever he talks. I think he's really cool. For Reva, because I know there's a lot circling about Reva.
You say Reva, I say Reva.
Oh, I always see the V. Oh, Reva?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't listen to the show.
I've only ever heard them call her whatever number sister she is.
But anyways, I know there's a lot of stuff floating around about her. I think she's playing her character the way it's supposed to be portrayed, as a whiny inquisitor, so to speak. We do know that she's trying to, better her peers. So it's almost kind of like how Anakin was with wanting more power, and a lot of people thought, oh, he's a whiny dude. So I think she's doing her job very well. Just like the Inquisitors are having issues with her, I think she's annoying too, but that's the point of it. So I wanted to address that here on the channel too, that, I believe that we can all say that we support that character and the actress, because she's going through a lot right now.
Can I say it? Yes, I agree with that. Can I say a theory that I have on Reva?
Yeah.
So my theory is that the reason she's so obsessed with getting Obi-Wan is because she was a youngling that survived Order 66 and blames Obi-Wan for not coming to save her.
I would agree, because I watched episode 1 and 2 twice. In the first one, when they did Order 66, they panned, and the one talking looked like she could be her later on. So you'd probably right on that. Yeah, they're I don't want to speculate too much, but something tells me that either she's going to be double crossed later on, or she might turn and try to actually help Kenobi. But that's just my thoughts.
I guess overall, in terms of this episode, it's a traveling episode. Sometimes you can't have a whole lot happen when you're traveling because you're not able to stay in one setting for very long. At least, from in my opinion. I think Freck was kind of a cool character just to see somebody who looks totally different, a different species. That was the mole guy. I really like Leia's character. I think the actress is doing a great job.
Yeah, I like her.
For me, for this show, I didn't have my hopes up quite as high as I think Tony might have. So I've been enjoying it. I see what you're saying though about kind of what's the point, what's the plot of this, where's this going? They announced that season 2.
Well, I know where it's going, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but they announced that season 2 is greenlit, and so if this whole season is about trying to get Leia to safety, then there's not really a clear idea on what season 2 even would be. What are they going to capture Luke next and have the same thing all over again? I don't know. It just
I don't think a season 2 has been greenlit.
It's been in the news.
I don't agree. Disney has not announced it, so
from what I saw, it was greenlit.
Ewan McGregor slipped up a little bit too at Celebration. I don't know if you heard about that.
I think he was just tongue in cheek.
We'll see. I really liked this episode in particular, and I think it's because they, in my opinion, they did justice with Vader. I was watching even just the aspect of how Hayden Christensen walks in the suit, and it's all perfect. I liked how we got to see how evil Vader can be. Like when he was going through the town and killing random people, he was doing that because it echoes what the Inquisitors said in episode 1, how Jedi can't help but do the itch that they have to save people. So Vader's going through the town trying to provoke Kenobi to come out of hiding to help these people, even though he ended up not doing it. But it just shows how he's striking fear into all these people and why he has this reputation of being this, really evil being. And also, I really liked it's kind of weird to say I really liked this, but when he burned Kenobi, I thought it was very poetic in the sense of, you made me this way, now you get to feel how I felt. And, as gruesome as that was, I thought it was very tasteful, if that makes sense. It was a way for Vader to be brutal to Kenobi that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I remember seeing him even dragging him through there with one arm forward and one arm behind him, which kind of is the same as Anakin when he was trying to climb out. Not that he had one arm behind him because he was missing an arm, but he had, one arm in front of him trying to pull his way out of the lava pit. So it almost looked the same.
I did notice they made sure to keep it on only Kenobi's arm because I think it was you that had said, like, what about he gets burns on his face, but he has no burns on his face in episode 4. So, they got to keep that moneymaker just fine and only burn parts of him that would be, under clothing, so to speak. So I think that's why they did that. And then didn't just put him face down into the flames.
Speaking of clothing, I think that's one of my only griefs.
Yeah, that's one of our...
You and I have both talked about is here he is trying to pretend that he's not a Jedi, but he's wearing a Jedi robe or what looks like a Jedi robe literally everywhere. Like he doesn't own anything else. It seems a little obvious, and I don't understand why citizens don't immediately see that and think something of that outfit. I don't know.
What do you think on that, Tony?
I agree. I did kind of give one of those when he was on the I guess it's like the Star Wars equivalent of a truck, the mole guy's truck, and the stormtroopers were coming around and he just put his hood on. It's like Jedi haven't been not around for that long for them to know not sure if that's the best disguise.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't understand that at all. I feel like he would stick out like a sore thumb. Uh, see anything else on this episode?
Oh, I have an update. Um, there are no credible sources that say that a season 2 has been greenlit.
All right, so we'll have to wait maybe another month. Maybe when this one's over, they will say it.
Hmm.
I mean, right now it's listed as a limited series, so
Maybe I saw some rumors, I guess. I don't know.
yeah. No, there's lots of rumors of them going around, but nothing official.
Right. I think it's interesting to see Obi-Wan's character struggle with taking care of a child. You see him kind of go back and forth between being too harsh and then helping fix her toy for her, her little droid, and trying to teach her, life lessons and little things here and there. I think that's interesting to see his character growth. It reminded me a lot of Mandalorian when he was trying to figure out how to take care of a child too. I feel like that's been a Disney theme lately, to show dads, I guess, or people who are forced to be dads who don't know how to be.
Here's a kind of a question for you guys as far as the interaction between Kenobi and Leia. So one of the things that I'm starting to wonder is, when we see Leia in the original trilogy, she really doesn't talk about the Force. She doesn't really show that she's feeling it. Not until like episode 6, where Luke is like, my sister has it. And then she's like, you know what? I've had kind of a feeling. Kenobi's telling her a lot about the Force. She's very curious about the Force. How do you feel about maybe the show is making her too knowledgeable about the Force, and it may seem a little far-fetched that she doesn't know hardly any of it in the original trilogy?
I don't know that she doesn't know about it in the original trilogy. I think it's just more or less of until you get a solid explanation for how you feel, you kind of might just think that's normal to feel that way.
Well, he told her, she asked him, what does it feel like? And which I actually really liked this that he said. He said, have you ever been afraid of the dark? And she said, yes. And he said, that relief when you have the light turned on and you feel safe, that's what it feels like. And so he's like educating her little by little of what it's like to have the Force and be in touch with it and stuff. And it makes me wonder, as the series progresses, is he going to keep telling her more about it, and then she's going to be somewhat decently knowledgeable about this thing? Or it seems to me that she's gaining quite a bit of knowledge right now in this show, that when she finally talks to Luke in episode 6, it seems as if she should know more about it.
How old do you think she is right now in the show?
She's 10.
She's 10. That is old enough to remember things. It's not like she's like 4 or something, where you're not going to remember things that people tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking. I haven't watched the original trilogy in so long. I don't know. Like it's a long time, and at least in episode 4, she has. I mean, she has a lot going on. Her planet getting blown up and blew up and blown up. There we go. And then her getting captured and all that stuff. So might be understandable if she forgot some stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's a good point, because that's kind of something else that's sort of bothering me about this show, is that I don't yet see how we're going to get from this show to episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that's like a huge problem, because like story is most important, but I see Obi-Wan and he has long hair and all that stuff, and they left him set up pretty perfectly in episode 3 to transition to episode 4. And like I don't know why his hair keeps bugging me in this show. It's like he's gonna go back to like George Lucas purposely had him have short hair in episode 3 because his hair is shorter in episode 4, and now he has it long again. Is he gonna cut it again? I don't know. You know, so yeah, I don't see a lot of this could be clear as day by episode 6, but episode 6 of Obi-Wan. But yeah, I don't see how we're getting, because it's only like 9 more years or 10 more years until episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I don't know. That kind of is bugging me.
Yeah, and I share I sympathize with you of the where is this show going, because like you said, it's I think both of you actually touched on it, where it's the show is called Obi-Wan Kenobi, but really, is it about him? No, it's been about at least in my opinion, it's been about the Inquisitors and trying to one up each other. And you know, Kenobi is just this mouse, so to speak, and they're the cats, and they're all trying to figure out how to please Vader and bring this mouse to them or to him, and that's about it. Right. Actually developing Kenobi's character.
I think
should have been called Vader.
Back to your question about Leia and the Force, just because she knows about it doesn't mean she's trained on how to use it.
No, I wouldn't say that she's trained, but if she's told about it and she starts, you know, having a feeling every now and then as she's growing, like, I don't know if it's been said, but like if some random thing that she can't explain happens, you know, you would begin to wonder, hey, what was that kind of a feeling? And then reflecting on what Ben has told her about it, maybe she would get some sort of intuition of maybe I'm somewhat force sensitive kind of a thing. But
or this is some guy I just met and my parents came up with a logical explanation for why this thing just happened.
I don't know.
See, but that's the thing. I don't feel like if the show was better, I don't feel like we should have this many questions like of this nature. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you said, there should have been a little bit better direction, overall thing going on in the show. I almost wonder if it would have been better when they were talking about how Maul was supposed to be a part of it. Maybe that would have grown Kenobi's character a little bit more. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what happens. We have 3 episodes to go. It's not over yet. I've talked to some of my buddies where I work, and I think I told you about it. I think this is going to be like a Rocky film, so to speak. I think Kenobi is, you know, cut off from the Force. He gets his butt whipped by Vader. He's going to go back. He's going to finally get in contact with Qui-Gon. He's going to get some sort of Jedi training montage and then fight back with Vader again. I think that's what's going to wrap it up.
That would be dope, and I hope it's executed well, or I'll be very disappointed.
That's just my opinion. It sure feels like that type of a film to me.
Probably something along those lines, I would think.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We'll see. Any other thoughts on the episode?
I don't think so.
Cool. Well, those were our thoughts on episode 3 of Kenobi. We will be having another one shortly on Wednesday. So be prepared for that. Hopefully we get some more answers. Like we said, we should be hearing about the Inquisitor and what happened to him very soon. That's probably the thing I'm most curious about, to see how they handle that. But so you guys are notified when our next video drops, please turn on your notifications. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Drops a like if you like this video, and drops a comment letting us know your thoughts on Kenobi episode 3 and the series in general so far. Where do you think it's going? All the different debatable points that we brought up. What side are you on? All that good stuff. And then, as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.